Welcome to Gaming with Lag. I'm Overlape, and I'm here to help you play better with lag. In this video, I'll be sharing tactics and habits you'll want to adopt, especially if you're always matching in games with high latency. Alright, so let's have a quick brief about latency and some not good terms. So latency is basically a two-way signal where your game sends and receives packets of data. Each single way to and from the server or host is your ping. So in short, ping is only sent, but latency is sent and received. Now tick rate, and this is the most important with those of us with unfortunate connections. Tick rate is how often the game needs to ping the server in 1 second. Basically, the lower the tick rate, the more you stand a chance against other players with better latency, because the slower the tick rate, the slower the server registers the ping, and the slower the feedback is overall for everybody. Now all this slow business could upset some people, but for those of us with high latency, that means we have an extended period of time to signal the server, and have a close to even chance against other players with a lower latency. So that is the type of advantage you need to seek in games. So throughout this video, I'll be sharing general advice for loadouts and playstyles you'll want to adopt if you ever feel you need to tilt the scales in your favor, and I'm assuming that's going to be very often, especially how the state of the game is going on right now. So good luck guys, and welcome aboard. The current game clip is from a private match, and luckily the host did not set it to a dedicated server, which has been allowed in private matches since Season 4 for Modern Warfare, and because of that, the tick rate is set to 20 pings and not the standard of 60 pings a second for dedicated servers. So that lower tick rate gave me an edge to compete, even though my latency was around the 240s and everyone else's latency was around the 60s. But in the end, I managed to prevail, and I'm here to help you do the same, so stick around until the end of this video, and I'd really appreciate your support, so please like, subscribe, and switch that bell to all to stay in the know, and I'll see you in the next clip. Alright, let's talk about matchmaking. So unlike the previous Call of Duty games, Modern Warfare does not maintain the lobby of matched players for consecutive matches. Meaning, you'll be matched with different players for every game, whereas in the previous installment of Call of Duty games, the lobby was maintained, and that meant if you were matched into a lobby with decent latency, you could choose to play on it to your heart's content, without ever being forced out. So since the new matchmaking system isn't doing anybody any favors with its constant lobby shuffles, you'll rarely find constant latency across your games, so your best bet is to optimize your loadout for either fast engagements or a strong and staggering assault. Effectively, you'll want to drop them before they can react, or if they do manage to react, you'll want to stagger and flinch them to your advantage. In this clip I was playing with a friend from abroad, and the matching latency was around 260 I believe. And so I did not want to face anybody straight on. So what I did was try to hold my corner, stay inside, stay hidden, and when I saw some people were coming towards my way, this is what I did. I left a gift for them on the counter. I went into a tight small corridor and waited for them to come in, and as you can see, it was a lot easier. With this clip you'll notice the latency is really great. It's even the best I'll ever get. But I've included it because I wanted to emphasize maneuverability, and it's your best asset even before your loadout. You want to be fast, you want to be engaging, and you want to be unpredictable as much as possible. So for a fast-paced and hectic playstyle, I'd recommend using the double time perk and the high alert perk to maintain your momentum and cover your blind spots. But in situations where your only option is to face your opponent head on, the best option here would be to use your gun's characteristics to your favor. Over here, the piercing power really helped. Other times you'll solely have to rely on your aim and reflexes to get through situations, but those aren't easy skills to hone, so it will take some time, but they're definitely worth it in the long run. So practice makes perfect, and my advice would be to match up with veteran bots in a private match, and just keep getting battered by them until eventually you get good enough to prevail out of them every time with whatever weapon you choose, and that's the sweet spot that'll help you prevail in multiplayer, ultimately. As you can see here, there we go, it was awesome.
Overhead. Enemy care package inbound.
Before we proceed, let me give you the guns. So for seasoned players like myself, and hopefully like yourself, we all know that every gun has a pro and a con, and they're not very equal in characteristics. Some have great penetration, some are very versatile, some you can utilize to your own content, depending if you want more firepower, versatility. It depends on what gun you use. And there are really great gun perks like frangible wooding for the SMGs, which could really compensate for the stagger effect on the smaller caliber. And you can always use Dragon's Breath for the shotguns. But the guns I have here, they're all great, they're all useful, and you can gear them to your priority, whatever you want, in whatever type of match. So if you want to go hard and strong and fast, these are the guns you want to take. If you want to go methodical and slow and just cover your corners, these guns can also be geared in that way. And of course, you can always use the riot shield as portable cover to block bullets, or you could just use it to aggravate and taunt cheaters and exploiters whom are plaguing the game these days. Here are my loadout classes. These are the weapons I use every day. I barely commit any changes to these unless I really needed something specifically, but mostly these would do for any type of game match, even if there was extreme latency. But I'll show you in the end. I might change aggro into an LMG later because, well, you'll see. Anyway, you notice here that on Philanthropist, I use the frangible wooding with the ISO because they are a great combination. And you can pause the screen at any moment to copy the loadouts. The MG34 is the variant gun I use for the aggro class. Previously I used the Grau, but I prefer the MG34 when the lag is really high because I need that extra aggressive suppression. The Grau is good and accurate, but the MG34 is really fast and insanely fast, to be honest. And I prefer it over the Grau because the Grau is good for accuracy, but if you want to keep people in cover, take the MG34. Okay, so for the following clips, they're going to be filled with lag, wretched, disappointing, and absolutely agonizing. They're not great, but I don't know, they're part of the mishaps of playing abroad with friends. That's just what it is. And they're going to be a fun learning experience, I hope. So on this Warzone clip, you see me going down the stairs, and then I look out the window and I see somebody between the boulders there. And even though I shot at least 4 initial shots before his head disappears, none of those registered. Later on, I see him going on to the left, I shoot, he falls down, and that was it. So as for the last guy, I didn't know where he was exactly, so I take out the heartbeat sensor, searching for him. I didn't see him on it. Probably he had cold-blooded. So I go out, look where he was previously, and as you can see, as I was shooting, he did not react or raise his gun, nor did I get a single bullet on me. And that was favorably because I had lag. All of these clips are of me playing with high latency, and they're pretty hard to get because I tend to avoid matching with lag as much as I can. But when I do get the chance to play with lag, I just grit my loins and just go with the flow. There's not much you can do, especially if you're playing with friends. Oftentimes, the best kind of advantage is the quick peek, and if you play Pop the Weasel with somebody, you can really get an awesome advantage. Other times, however, the latency will be just too high for you to try and compensate for it, so even if you're using a high fire rate with strong caliber, there's not much you can do, because even if you shoot these people first, they'll still have the upper hand. So in games like this, where it's going to be agonizing and might not be your type of game for you to tolerate, I'd really recommend you just leave, because no matter what you do, you'll always be dealt the lower hand. Ultimately, if you're playing under 150 latency, you're in a good area where you can compensate and play competitively. But if you're above that, up to 270, that's mainly what this video is for. But if you're beyond 270, I'd recommend you completely leave the game, because for me it kills the vibe and it stops me from playing entirely. Remember Pop the Weasel from this previous St. Petrograd match? Well, this is the same guy from the same match. And this is me trying to jump on him and just trying to gauge the latency and doing 180s and shooting at the very last second. But none of the shots land because of the latency. When it comes to hectic engagements, it really serves to have a high fire rate gun, and preferably a 680 with Dragon's Breath as backup. And RPG is great for backup too, it's always been for me. And the Grau is awesome. I've showed you this from the aggro class before. As you can see, people here are using the RPG because I absolutely demolished them previously. And the Grau is really awesome. I'd really recommend this gun. If you want to use a foregrip for it, preferably I'd take the Merc foregrip. Or alternatively, you could use the Cronin Shark 2 foregrip. It's really good for aiming stability, but effectively, I prefer something that gives me some flexibility while I'm aiming down the sights. So I want to be still on my feet, or at least somewhat flexible. So I use the XRK stock. Having the higher ground will always give you an advantage because you could easily use gravity to toss or launch things off the top, or you can use it for the obvious benefit of being above everyone else's cone of vision. Also, link your eye to the compass whenever you can because the red blips indicate everyone's exact location and to a lesser degree distance. So use that with Modern Warfare's great sound design and you'll probably be much more effective in engagements. And you could also use the infamous Call of Duty timing to your advantage, especially in high traffic areas. So the RPG here yielded insane results. Anticipation is the ultimate tactic in any competitive scenario, and that is no less the case in shooters like Call of Duty. Pro tip here, try to increase your projectile arc because nothing is as it seems with lag, and you'll see why. There we go. Another pro tip for mouse users, make friends with the Battle Hardened perk because there's no infinite access registration like on controllers, so shuffle easy when stunned. Alright, that's a wrap for today. I'll be adding more tips in future videos, but if you're eager, leave your questions in the comments and I'll be happy to help. Thank you so much for being here. Please subscribe, like, and switch the bell to all. Have a great day and be well, everybody. See you around. Bye-bye.
Pays to win.